This is March 7th, 1988, and I'm talking with Eleanor Massa, is that the correct pronunciation?
Right.
Of Eleanor's Beauty Shop, 88 Hanover Street in Pemberton. And we're talking about times that she remembers as a child and young person in Pemberton. First of all, let's talk about Ben Malsbury. You had mentioned something about, had Ben told me about the snakes, and I had never heard about that, so tell me.
Well, he lived on Jarvis Street with his parents, and he raised snakes.
This is
all types of snakes.
As a young man?
Yes.
Boy.
Up until he was, I'd say, in his 30s, maybe 40s. But the fantastic thing about it would be the children in Pemberton would see him coming down the street with these snakes wrapped around him.
What kind of snakes were they?
Well, he had, I would say, 4 or 5 different varieties of snakes.
You said he had 4 or 5 different kinds?
Yeah. I do know there were some rattlesnakes involved in this. However, I don't know the name of all species, but it was a big thing then on Jarvis Street.
I hope he didn't have them in the house.
I don't think so.
He raised them in the backyard, probably?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I can see how the kids would really love that.
Right.
Well,
and he also, I don't know if he had told you when he had the canoe house. He had the canoe house.
I know about that, yes.
And he would teach the local children how to paddle and so forth, but they had to bring a letter from their parents that they had cleaned their teeth and so forth and so on like this, done their duties, and or he would not teach them.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That was a great idea.
And it was, children look forward to it very much.
Do you remember some of the people whom he taught?
Oh, many here in town. Stevie Johnson, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
The Wells girls, Jean Wells and Ruthie. Just local people, local children, you know. And he was a great whittler. Mm-hmm. He would take limbs and whittle and make floor lamps.
Floor lamps?
Yes, I believe he has some in his home now in New Lisbon.
Many talents.
He has many talents, yes. A beautiful painter.
Yes, I know about that, all of his artwork.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you were talking about Nelson Morton's Meat Market.
Yes, and that was located on Main Street, which is Hanover Street. We always referred to it as Main Street. Butcher shop. And they lived in the second floor part of it. And after that was sold, it was a luncheonette, Chubby's Luncheonette.
Who was Chubby?
Now, he was a Ridgway, Clarence Ridgway's brother, and Roy Ridgway, which is the only surviving boy. It was great. And then later, Clarence, the brother, had it. And after he went out of business, then it turned to a apartment house.
Well, the Clarence is the one that had the ice cream store there for a long time.
But Chubby had it before him.
Before that, yeah. That's before my time.
Yeah. Because I was in high school at the time, and we used to make our choices which to go to Les Shaw's or Chubby's, which was, one wasn't as busy as the other, we'd go to the other one, you know. And you had a jukebox, and if you ate real fast and got real good service, you had time for a dance or two before you went back to school.
Oh, this was at lunchtime?
Right at lunchtime, yeah.
Now, when you went to Pemberton High School, did they have the Union Transportation bringing kids from other outlying areas?
Yes,
I knew they did at one point, but I'm not sure of the dates.
yes.
And that would
all
be-
the time I was in high school. Yeah.
Roughly what years would that be? What year did you
Uh,
graduate?
It was 40, we just had it 42nd, 43rd anniversary, so 43 years ago. It would
So-
be,
The UT Union Transportation was still running at that time then. I wonder when that stopped.
I have no idea, I don't remember, to tell you the
Probably-
truth.
They stopped using the high school, I think, around 52 or 53, didn't they? And the kids went out here to the township school
That was in, no, it was later than that, 50.
later than that.
50, because they're going to have a reunion. All,
Yes, it was.
And-
It was closer to 60. You're
yes,
right.
57
Yes.
I think it was.
Mhm.
Was the
Yeah.
last, 57 or 59 was the last graduating class there. So in April or May, I think it is, they're having a get-together, a dance, and some food, and entertainment at the school, and everyone is invited that graduated from there.
Well, what do you mean?
I don't know
at the
however they're
school?
going to hold them all, but
Which school? Because that one's
the
torn
original
down.
high school. The gym.
Oh, in the gym?
part.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. That's nice. So what else were we going to talk about here? Oh, the bakery next door to the meat market?
Yes, that was known as Crawley's. Started out as a candy store. And she was a widow. I believe her first name was Anna. And she gradually started with homemade soup. And then hot sandwiches. And then small platters. Things that was easy for her to make. And they were served there, plus candies. And that stayed there until she died, and I don't remember what year it was when she died. And eventually the building was taken down. And the Baptist church, I think, bought that property.
Oh, that's what is now the parking lot?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seems like everything becomes a parking lot, doesn't it?
And still we don't have sufficient parking.
Yeah.
The amount of people that's in the borough now.
And then there was the oyster bar that you had talked
And it's
about.
Harry Combs Oyster Cellar.
How do you spell Harry Comb? I mean, the com part.
I don't know.
K.
Seems to me it was a K, not a C.
Like something like K-A-H-M?
No, I think it was
K-A-L-N?
Com. K-A-M-N? I can look it up, but I should have done that.
I may have it somewhere. I've heard the name before.
If you have the book,
Judy's
Judy
book?
Olson.
Oh, yes. I can get it from
I
there,
think it's
yes.
in there.
Mhm. Okay. Harry Combs Oyster Bar, and that
And
was
over
located...
top of that was White Locks. We were speaking of barbershop.
Mhm.
That was one of two that was in town at that time.
And this was
And next to-
located next to the inn, was it?
It was in the
In the
inn
inn.
itself. On the
Nice.
far
And the
end.
oyster bar was downstairs, you
In the
said.
cellar, and the
Barber shop
was over top.
over top.
And right next door to the barber shop was a Norcross jewelry shop.
Which
Repaired
Norcross was that-
watches and things like that.
Which Norcross would that be?
Can't remember his first name. He was related to the Norcross that was on Elizabeth Street that had the antiques. Repaired antiques.
I remember there was a place, but I don't remember
Right on the
whose it
corner
was.
of Main, Elizabeth and Egbert.
Uh-huh.
Big house. Next, going in the other direction to the oyster cellar was the two sisters of Combs that had an ice cream parlor, and they sold candies. Very quaint, and the straight back little round chairs that had the round top.
The little wire.
And the little round tables with the checkered tablecloths on. And I can remember the big fan in the ceiling that we now have, and of course in those days was much larger than the ones they have today. Revolving around in the summer when you would go in, to get your ice cream and your candy.
It'd be nice if somebody would revive that.
And that's what I've often thought about the mansion, years ago. That was a tea house.
Who had that as a tea house?
I'm not sure whether the Morrisons, does that sound familiar to you, the Morrison?
Yeah.
I believe it was in that family. Because that was when I was 6 years old.
I don't think I've ever heard that that was a tea house.
Yeah, tea room. That is where she lives on Bud Avenue till she went to Florida. She met her husband there. She was a waitress there.
And they did a good business?
Oh, yes.
Well, was Pemberton still the hub of a farming area when you were little?
Yes. This
So that
was
really
the only area they had to do their shopping.
Really didn't change then until about World War II, I guess.
Right.
I know
That's
in the
right.
1800s it certainly was that way, but I didn't know how long it was.
All the farmers in the surrounding areas, of course, that's all it was then, all farmland, surrounding the borough itself.
And you still have both railroad stations?
We still had the
trains.
stations. There was 4 trains, 5 trains on the south side that came through town, 2 going to the shore and 2 coming back in the morning and the same in the afternoon. And they had one train called the Flyer. The post isn't
Like
there
an
now.
express?
It didn't stop. However, it picked up the mail bag. There was an iron pillar, and this bag was hooked onto this.
You just read to the
And
same
an
car?
iron came, a man had an iron that came out and would grab that as it went through.
For goodness sake.
And my mother was the carrier that would pick up the mail from the post office to take to the train. Put on the train and bring the mail back.
This would be going toward Camden.
Yes. And then on the north side, there was, I think, 4 trains a day. Because many commuters, you see, used this in those days to get to Philadelphia and
We have them
Camden.
now.
I do too. I miss them.
I think most people do that live here because you have to have a car for everything.
Right.
What was your mother's maiden name?
Her maiden name was Worthley.
Her first name?
Melissa.
M-E?
L-L-I-S-A.
And how do you spell the last name?
W-O-R-T-H-L-Y. And she married Dennis. That was her marriage name.
And that was Raymond.
Right.
Now, had she lived in Pemberton?
No, she was Vincenttown.
She was from Vincenttown. He was from Pemberton.
Yes.
Had he lived here all his life?
Most of his life. Shady Lawn Inn, you know where that is. That's on South Pemberton Road.
South Pemberton Road. I was going to say Route 38, and it
That's
isn't
where
really.
my grandparents lived.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you had visited there or lived there. I wasn't sure which. Your grandparents lived there. Your father's parents. What, that would have been around the 1900s?
Early, yes.
Early 1900s.
Because he went in service in the First World War. He was in
Your father did. That's a beautiful place. Is it still called the same?
I don't know if they have a certain name for it now or not, but
Is it
that's...
apartments now?
Yes, since the Shields,
Yeah.
when they sold it.
Yeah, Pat Shields used to live
Mhm.
there.
But they, grandmother always had a huge dining room, and she used to feed the Bell Telephone girls from Pemberton, of which my aunt was one of the first operators.
That's the little building that's still there on Egbert Street?
On
Or is it
Huff Street.
Huff Street,
Right.
the little brick building.
Mhm.
That's still in use, isn't it?
Well, the first place it was not in the brick building.
Oh,
It was across the street, where Elvis and Kinsler lives now. That was the first office.
and the brick one is relatively new.
Yes, well, it started out very small. Of course, they've added onto it. I think that 40s, I think that was when they built that.
There used to be a wagon painting shed or something of that sort back there, didn't there? On Huff Street.
Well, that part I don't
I've seen a
remember.
picture, I think maybe Dorothy Goodman did it, I'm not sure. It was a long building with a ramp up that they would run the wagons up on. That was probably before your time.
Maybe, yeah. Because I don't remember that part of it.
Yeah, well, cars.
Jarvis, had their original shop was there on that street.
The flower shop.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then they bought the place,
And their
which used to be
greenhouses.
Tally White's fruit stand next to Tom's store. Later on, years later, Jarvis bought that.
Mhm. And that's where their business was.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. But it had been a fruit store
Yes.
prior to that. Nothing
Mhm.
but fruit,
Just fruit.
for goodness sake.
He would have a big display out in the front every morning, of the fruit. You could get a few vegetables, but it was mostly fruit.
And that would be south of the inn,
Yes.
but on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
And how many doors down would that be?
It would be right next to Com's ice cream store.
And then
There's
it
an
was
apartment
Jarvis.
house there now.
And that was Jarvis's flower store
Mhm.
and a florist. And then now it's an apartment house.
Mm-hmm. And then going down, the next house would have been Heisler's. And now, which is the police station, was the bank.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
And then your father lived down near the beach
That's
at
right.
one time. There were houses just north of the beach.
True.
Were there about 3 houses there?
There was 2 singles and 1 double house. On the corner of Mary and Hanover was Dr. Sickgrade's. Then came the double house, which my parents lived in. And then there was a small single house right along the creek there. Mrs. Lloyd lived in, and Hazel Lloyd.
Well,
But as the beach moved from down on the opposite side of the bridge, that's where the original bathing beach
I
was.
didn't know that.
Yes.
South
And
of
in
the
that
bridge.
lot down there with the beach was, we always had a circus every year that came to town. And then gradually, I think it was when they made was talking about making the waterfall, which is on the right side of the creek, below the canoe house,
That
when
would
they
be
were
the-
going to
the
change
west-
that used to be a walkway through there, and it had gates, and that's how they regulated the water. When they changed that is when they put the beach on this end, where it is now.
I didn't realize it
located.
had ever been anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
How would there be room for a circus there? where
In the
beach-
lot, when you go make that little turn to go down next to the canoe house,
Oh, on that side.
See, that wasn't all grown up like it is
You're
now.
talking about the west side of the bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
Always
Yeah,
had a
I
circus
guess-
there. Came there every summer.
Oh, they don't.
And that was the thrill of a lifetime, you know.
All the kids in town
Right.
like that.
And then once a year, in the summer, we always had a carnival. And that was
The fire
on
company did
Main
that, or
Street.
was that a church carnival or fire company?
Fire
Fire
company, yes. That's how they raised funds for equipment and things back in those days.
What do you remember?
And that was on the lot of the corner of Mary and Hanover Street, which is still open there, that lot. That's where they had it.
Where the little park is.
Uh-huh. And then years later, as it became a success, they had to have a larger place to hold it. And that's when it moved up to, on Egbert Street
Yeah,
across from the old high school.
Yeah, where the library is now.
That's right, right.
Yeah. I think I remember that vaguely when we first moved here. What do you remember most about the circus? Anything in particular?
That one day I would be a performer.
You would be a
On
performer?
the swing, in the high swing. I used to go down and
I'll be darned.
help them feed the animals so I could get in for free. And that was the most fascinating thing to me in my life. To see them swinging on that swing, that was what I was going to do when I grew up.
Oh, that's what you were going to do. I thought you were telling me you actually did it.
No, during that time, papers weren't delivered direct to the stores in town then. The Philadelphia papers, the Camden papers, there was a truck that made it delivery. But they only made one stop, and that was at the corner of Elizabeth and Hanover Street, where the Lion used to be. And Les Shaw owned the ice cream store then. And whoever got there first to take up the papers to the store got an ice cream cone. And of course I had an advantage because I lived
Real close.
near the bridge, and I used to climb up on the abutment there. And when I'd see that truck coming around the corner, I would run up and be there when they dropped the papers off. And from that, I had received the name of Speedy. And
that
other
stuck with
children
you?
would get mad because they could never beat me to it. So then my aim, when I got associated with the store, ice cream store, I thought that's what I want to do. I want to work behind the soda fountain, which I did do when I was in high school.
Even if you weren't a trapeze artist.
Right, right.
Tell me more about the oyster bar. We just touched on who owned it. I think the other day
He
you were-
was the only owner that I know of, the original, and that's when it
was it there many years?
Yes, many years.
Many years.
The men that used to make the deliveries to Mantel's grocery store across the street, they all gathered there after they had made their deliveries. The meat people that came down from Trenton that delivered the meats. Because they'd done their own butchering right there in the store.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
At Mantel's?
Yes.
I never knew that either. Who did the butchering?
Kenny Page. There was one before him, but I don't remember his name, and it didn't last too long. Kenny Page was, when I was growing up, was there mostly. Of course, he just recently passed away.
Never knew that.
And next door to that was the Ballingers.
And they had everything.
They had everything.
They're the ones that had the
and-
rugs hanging out the windows in
Right,
an old picture.
That's right, furniture store, everything.
Regular department store.
Right. In fact, that's the store my mother and father bought their furniture when they went house keeping.
hard to believe Pemberton had such a store. I mean, the
Right.
way it is today.
You can't believe they had all the stores that they had. There was the AMP, the American store, Morton's Meat Market, Charles Platt General's grocery store, which also sold dry goods,
And the bakeries.
the bakeries, the ice cream parlor, Manuel's store, and the 5 and 10. There was also on Elizabeth Street, as you go around the corner where the parking lot for the funeral home is, was a pool room, Johnson's Pool Room, which later became, they also sold liquor. See, back then, they had liquor license in the borough.
Yes, I just learned that recently. I had
Right.
thought the borough was always dry. but
No,
it wasn't.
no. Mm-mm. And I think that was controlled to the Republicans and Democrats, which one would happen to be in office at that time, from what
So it
I
sort
can
of
gather.
alternated. One time it would be wet and another dry.
But the inns in the town at that time all sold.
Yeah. Well, one time I know
beverages.
there were 3 inns.
Yes. And then they, what we always called Up on the Hill, which is South Pemberton Road, there was a place called Popeyes. That was a bar.
You ever heard of that? What is that today?
That was, well, it's no longer there. I think it's an empty lot there now. That's where they built the motor vehicle.
Oh, where the motor vehicle place is.
Used to be there in that area.
So the oyster bar, we keep coming back to that. They sold oyster stews, you had told me.
And peanuts.
Yeah, and peanuts.
That's all.
That's all. It's just hard, so hard to believe that there would be enough demand, for oyster stews to. They didn't sell oysters to take out.
Yes.
They did that too.
Yeah.
What did you remember? What an oyster stew cost?
No, I don't. No.
I sure wish there was a place like that now.
I know. I wish many times that could return back to those times. It was a small place, but then you had everything in the town. You didn't have to venture outside the borough to buy hot dogs or ice cream or cake or anything like that. It was all right in the town itself. And everybody made a good living. And it's hard to visualize that now, the way things are, because so many places have started a business, and 3 or 4 years they're out of
They're
business.
out. That's happened over and over in the borough, hasn't it?
Many times.
Well, maybe the bypass will make a difference.
Maybe.
Saw a letter in the paper the other day saying you didn't need a bypass.
Was yours the one I told about it that I had read?
No, but I saw
I
the
told
letter.
one of the customers. I saw the letter in the paper.
I couldn't
And
believe
she used to be, she used to live here in town.
the one who wrote the letter. That's the first time I had seen anybody say that the bypass wasn't needed.
Right.
That's interesting. We haven't talked about the movie house.
Okay, the movie house, which was where the
Masonic Hall.
Masonic Hall is. However, it lived a very short span because the churches got together and
Put it out
closed
of
it.
business? Really? Well, they
They
didn't
didn't
approve of the
approve of it.
movies? I didn't know that
That's
either.
going back into the late 20s and around that era, yeah.
What had it been before they had movies?
Well, I took tap dancing lessons there as a child. They used to rent the hall out to different things, for different things.
But who owned it, do you
And
know?
I really don't know.
Certainly-
Because at one time, Grace Episcopal Church had their services there before they had a church. Yeah, I remember that as a child. I don't think, although it could be the borough might have owned it at one time. It could have been.
I don't remember anyone ever saying what it had been originally, unless that's in Judy's book. I'll have to check that. And the Cranberry House, that's now the florist, originally was part of a church, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. It was. But I can always remember mostly, being the Cranberry Association building.
Cranberry growers. Seems to me I remember that building, that little building, was the Sunday school for the Episcopal Church.
Yes.
I think I have somebody on tape saying that. Which makes sense because it's close by the other building.
Right.
And
Another thing we had in town, which we don't no longer have, was a taxi business.
your father ran that, didn't he?
And he was in it 2 different times.
And who else did it?
When my father passed away, Red's Mills got the license to have. But after he died, then no one had it.
And that doesn't exist anymore.
No.
You'd think there'd be a demand for that.
True. Right. Because there's so many more people now.
And so many elderly ones that
Right.
don't drive or need someone else to drive. You were telling me something about the lot up at the corner of where the traffic light is, South Pemberton Road and Hanover.
Yes,
Street.
where 7-Eleven is now, there was a huge 3-story house. And I'm not sure if Lippincott was the original owner, however, they did live there many years.
Which
And gradually it was turned into an apartment house, and that's where, who done that, was DeZell. That also had a store, DeZell's store. He bought that and made that into apartment houses.
And which Lippincott would that be? Not Richard?
No relation, no.
Well, it doesn't matter that much.
Can't remember. Then you went across to the other corner. That's where the other big white building was. Had a big circular porch. It was a 3-story house. And right next to that was a very small service station, pumping gas, kerosene, and all this. And that was McNelvin's.
Well, wasn't it later Bedwell's? Mrs. Bedwell?
Oh no, not that place.
Not there?
That was separate. This was right along the Hanover Street.
Oh, okay.
Bedwell,
It was further.
Dare,
Like
Mrs.
on-
Dare.
Yes.
That was Margaret's mother.
Margaret Bedwell's mother.
Right.
And that was on Magnolia Road.
True.
Okay. Now you're talking about on Hanover Street. Which side of
As
the
you
light?
came across the railroad tracks,
Going.
and I'd be on the left-hand side, where the big building sits now, it used to be a Cranberry building.
Yes.
All right. Right next to that, after that little alley there, was this little service station. They had 2 pumps that pumped gas. You could buy your kerosene and your oil and everything like that there. It was just a very small place. And then was the big white house on the corner. And a woman by the name of Myrtle Mullen owned the property. And it was when they were going to make the street, widen the street, when we went from the dirt road to the macadam. That property was sold to there was the borough, and part of it the county got. It was a dividing line there somehow. But that's why it was tore down.
Yes, in my remembrance, there never
And
was
across from
anything
that,
there.
where the service station is now, was a smaller service station that Paul
You mean where the Sunoco station is? Yeah. Oh, Paul Scroggie had that.
had that
yes.
for years, and a
little
man by the
store.
name of Johnson had it before him.
There was a little grocery store there.
They sold
remember that.
groceries, yes. And behind where we just were talking about here, behind that was our plant that we had our own electricity. Burr always had their own electric.
Yes. And where was that located again?
Right behind this, the Cranberry Building,
Oh, that's where it
the little
was.
the little station. Right behind that. That's
That would
why
be-
that little road goes back in there. That's why you got back in
Somewhere
there.
near where the railroad track was.
Right
where
near,
they're talking
right
about,
next to the railroad tracks.
where they're talking about putting the bypass.
Right.
So the borough no longer has their own
No,
electric plant.
no,
Did they tear it down?
Yes, that's gone completely.
When was that done? Because I think
Let's
I
see.
remember when they had their own
Or
electric.
they may have that one little building back there. I haven't been back there for so long. But the original one is gone, I know. I do feel they made a mistake when they got rid of that.
So now they're dependent on Jersey Central too?
Right.
Yes, I can remember they had storms.
We were never out
And
of electric.
Pemberton Borough would have their lights and nobody else would.
That's right.
That storm in, what was it, 58, I think. They had
It was so
ice
bad.
storm on the first day of spring, I think it was.
Uh-huh.
So what haven't we touched on?
There was also a 5 and 10 on Elizabeth Street, where the parking lot is now, which was originally the pool room.
On Elizabeth Street where the parking lot is. Oh, you mean for the funeral parlor?
There, in that parking lot. It was a pool room first,
The library used to be there too.
and that used to be the Borough Hall also.
Yes, and a firehouse.
Yeah, right.
And a few other things.
Mhm.
And it was such a
This
tiny
side of
building,
that,
it's amazing.
That's right. There was a 5 and 10, Paul Jones, that originally worked in the American store on Hanover Street. When that was done away with, he opened his 5 and 10. Sold school supplies, candies, and ice cream. And then when done away with that, he opened the little store right across the street.
Across the street, that's the one I remember.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I remember the library being in that area. It's funny, I don't remember his
Well, the
having a
first
5 and 10.
library we had was on Mary Street.
Yes, Mrs. Kinsley.
That's right,
Yes.
in her front room.
Yeah. And then it went to Hanover,
Mm-hmm.
and then over to Elizabeth,
Right.
and then back to Hanover, and then to the high school, old high school,
Right.
and then where it is now. But I didn't remember Paul Jones having that 5 and 10.
And that was quite a big building. It was like a double building. And on the other side was a dry cleaners. I can't remember the people's first name, but later on, Sutton, which is a big family here in town, the one son He had it as a cleaner's. And after he closed, that ended it. And of course, eventually the place was tore down to make room for the parking lot. That's where I can trainings I told you about. I think that one of the sad things too is the North Station.
Yes.
That-
They're still trying to restore it.
That the borough can't get in on this, and buy that property because it's so much of the borough history.
Yes. Mhm. Did they try?
Years back they had.
Mhm.
Of course, the township owns it now.
I
It
know
would be nice to have it.
I know the Historical Society was trying to do something about it. It was mentioned in their last meeting this past month. Do you go to those meetings?
No.
I don't either. I should, I think. I was wondering what they had come up with, if they had any plans for it.
At one time, when they did do some work on it, it was the boys from the high school.
I remember. Oh.
Yeah. That did. And we used to have, it was during the Second World War, where the North End Bar is located. There used to be a diner right next door to that.
Mhm.
And most of their business came from the lumber mill that was making the prefab houses.
Mhm. What was that called? Presidential
None,
Homes or something like that?
Presidential homes, but the original was Pemberton Lumber and Millwork. John
That
D.
was
Johnson.
another big store, was Montgomery's,
Also,
with all that
right.
hardware.
Mm-hmm.
and lumber and
Right.
all
It was
kinds of
there
things.
for years and years and years.
Yeah. Montgomery and Nutt, I think it was called at one time. N-U-T-T.
Yes, but it was also, now I guess I'm just thinking of the owner that had it.
We were talking about baseball games in Pemberton, and Eleanor remembers a little bit about, well, more than a little bit probably, about the games, and especially about donkey baseball, which was played across from the Legion, where the gardens are now.
Right. It was usually for fundraising purposes.
For
The fire company. Uh-huh. And, of course, you would always have one line up, sooner or later would fall and break an arm or a leg or something. However, it was good amusement. I think everybody enjoyed it.
Where'd they get the donkeys?
I really don't know where they hired them from, but they always had them. I think they're most likely is a farm that does this for benefits. That's what they're used for.
But local people played.
Right.
That,
All
that
the
should have been
firemen
a lot of
and
fun.
And if it serves me right, they would have like hot dogs and sodas that they sold also at the game. And like I say, they done this like when they had the carnivals to raise money for the fire company, for equipment. Hard workers. And I've heard in the past of the younger firemen today, they work 2 jobs or a job and a half, and they don't have time to do these kind of things. They would also chance off maybe 1 or 2 cars a year. And that doesn't take much to do that, to sell a chance.
Especially if you're working somewhere
Right.
where you can sell them.
Right.
Who were some of the people who were active back in those times when they had the donkey baseball?
Well, the Ridgeway boys, Clarence and Chubby and Roy and the Sprouls, Walter. Yeah. Well, I don't remember Harry Sproul, and I think there was a Herbert Sproul. Walter Sager. And I'm sure Addie Collins at one time participated in that too, the Undertaker. Herb Lloyd.
I thought you were going
The
to say
Rallies. It was Frank Raleigh, his father. I'm trying to remember going up and down Main Street, the people that lived.
Ben Molesbury wasn't one of the
I don't think he ever.
players.
He might have been,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't, seem to remember him in it. The Suttons. There's quite a few of the Sutton boys that was on. Parkers on Jarvis Street. Almost everyone that lived in town at that time would always take part in these things.
Would they have baseball more than once a year, or just?
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
How often?
Yeah. During the summer months, the warm months, they would have several games.
Several a season.
Mm-hmm. And like I say, they sold tickets for cars, new cars.
Mm-hmm.
They changed up. And then back in those days too, they always had big dinners.
The Grange used to have
Right.
harvest home dinners, I know.
Yes. There was always so many things they could do to raise money. And now it seems like, that has all stopped.
People's interests are so varied, and we have so much choice, so much to choose from now.
Right. But it was more, in those days, I think, the borough itself was like a big family.
Hmm.
And through the process of years going, everything changing, you don't have that feeling anymore. That togetherness.
It's a different time. It certainly is.
Progress has taken that away. It's good in one sense and it's bad in another sense.
We've lost a lot, too.
Right. The feeling for caring for each one, each other. Can they be of help? There was always that feeling that you could rely on someone to help in a crisis. You don't have that now.
It's every man for himself.
Right.
And woman. Unfortunately. Well, who knows? Maybe someday it'll change again.
I hope.
Well, we were talking about the who owned the drugstore on Hanover Street when you were young, and you said it was Kempty. Was their first name that you remember?
I believe it was Floyd.
Floyd Kempty.
And they lived right next door to it.
In that
little house.
little building that's... Is that occupied now?
Yes,
Is it?
it's an apartment.
I've often wondered about that. And was he there a number of years? Kempty?
most of my life, growing up, before he sold it to Ron Howe.
Oh, he just preceded Hal.
Mm-hmm.
I see. Ron Howell had lived there on Hanover Street in that
Right.
house that Leon Wack now lives in.
Yeah, it used to be Charlie Platt's place.
And that was moved there, I believe, from someplace else.
The house?
Yeah, the
Yes,
house
it was.
was moved.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you remember about the drugstore? Is it very different? Was it different than it is
Much
today?
different than it is now. They didn't sell candies or things like that. It was
Mhm.
strictly a drugstore.
And they didn't have the soda fountain
No,
that was
No.
there when Hal had it.
true.
I guess that's the only time it had a soda fountain, wasn't it?
Right. I'm not sure where John Petrie left it in for a while and it didn't work out and then he removed it.
Oh, he was
When he
he
took over.
followed
Hal.
Hal. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know Dorothy Burr's father owned it at one point, but that was many
Many years ago,
Yes.
I guess, because it was before my time.
Uh-huh. And then you were telling too about there was a shoe repair place on the corner of Hanover and Mary Street, which is
Mhm,
now a
that
vacant
was,
lot.
Charlie Weiss.
Weiss.
I think I think it was Weitz,
Oh,
German.
but did he have it many years?
Yes, until he died.
Mm-hmm.
And no one ever, took it up after that.
And then later there was one, that little adjoining the drugstore. there
Well,
was a
before
shoe
the one
repair
to the
place.
drugstore, there was one next to Collins Funeral Home. The house that is next to Collins Funeral Home,
Oh, that
that
was
has
a
that
shoe-
little thing on the side, little building-like part of the house.
Where there's a railing up the
Mhm.
steps for the library.
They
was
went-
in there once.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, downstairs was a shoemaker.
Oh, downstairs. I didn't
Down
know
in the
that.
cellar part.
What years would that be?
That would have been in the 30s and 40s.
Mhm. Do you remember the name?
It was Eleanor Burns' uncle. I can't think of it now. And then there was, I can't remember whether it was a barber shop. I think a barber shop was over top of it for a while. And then Darlene had the beauty shop there.
I knew that.
Mm-hmm.
In the 40s?
Mm-hmm. 50s. And when she left there, she bought Lippincot's house
At the intersection.
at the one that I had bought later on. She had her shop right there in the house. And when she left is when I went into business.
You're saying the drugstore wasn't like it is now with no candies and probably no cards.
No.
Which is a big part of their
No, it was
business.
strictly just for medicines.
Medicines only.
Mhm.
Lots of other things that are sold today that weren't there.
Right. And there was no parking lot there either.
Mm.
There was a big house right next to the drugstore.
Where the parking lot is
Mhm.
now.
The lady that owned that, she used to board teachers there.
Was
School
that
teachers.
Kelsey's house?
That's right.
She
Mhm.
boarded teachers.
Mm-hmm. Harry Jones's wife, she boarded there when she first came to teach school.
Mhm. Were there many boarding houses in Pemberton? I know Brown's Mills had a number of them.
No, we didn't have that many. No. Mm-mm. in private homes, you might find, especially during the war, they would rent out a room, or maybe 2 rooms, 2 bedrooms, you know. That went on during the war, but no big, large boarding homes. Emmons's, they had, which is now Charlie Jones farmhouse.
Cliff
They used to
Emmons.
take in boarders.
Did they?
Mm-hmm.
As well as farming.
Right.
That's now the Pemberton Township Municipal Utilities Authority.
Yes.
We still call it Charlie Jones.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that concludes what we have to say today. Thank you very
Okay.
much.